Hey everyone, and welcome back to my Completionist playthrough of the Baldur's Gate Saga with SCS. And just like I said in the previous episode, now we're going to start doing some serious fights. And with those in mind, I have picked our spells in between episodes, and I did so with a heavy emphasis on some higher level anti-magic spells. And that is because we are going to deal with some liches first. And liches being immune to spells from level 1 to 5 of course means that we're not going to be able to get much use out of our secret words, for example, and instead we're going to have to rely on spells such as Pierce Magic, Ruby Ray, and so on in order to dispel them. Senashira also has her spell trigger now, and I've also memorized Spell Strike on her. We might get a good opportunity to get some value out of this spell, and showcase how it can get rid of multiple spell protections in one cast. We'll see how these situations are going to develop. Also, our other mages have Ruby Rays of their own now, and as you can see, I've memorized quite a few of those spells, and while it's likely a big overkill, I did that for two reasons. First, we don't know exactly what types of spell protections these liches are going to have, and they might have spell triggers of their own that will enable them to put up additional spell protections once their initial ones get dispelled. And I also wanted to spread out these spells between all of my casters, because depending on the situation, they might not be able to successfully cast them, they might get interrupted and so on, so we want to be prepared. And the second reason is that on Senashira we're going to set up a very anti-magic oriented spell trigger, and on Edwin we might have a good opportunity to unleash a cool chain contingency with triple dispel in it. We'll see. And this is also a good moment, I think, to discuss the spell shield that enemies get from their pre-buffs, because that one functions differently from our own spell shields, and the spell shields they can reapply later. But the ones that they get from pre-buffs is a really, really nasty spell, in the fact that it can consume multiple spells unleashed all at once from a sequencer, spell trigger, or chain contingency. While, it's not supposed to do that. Normally, spell shield, any other spell shield, like spell shield of ours, and I think the ones that they can reapply later, only consume one of these spells, and the other two will go through. But the spell shield that they get from pre-buffs actually will be able to consume the whole package of spells. So we're going to have to be careful not to unleash our stuff at a spell sequencer, at a spell shield like that, but first remove it separately and then unleash our stuff. So we'll see what kind of situations the game is going to present us, and then we're going to try to select the right tools to deal with those situations. But anyway, as for our spells, we've also memorized more spell protections, like multiple spell shields, because I think we're going to do 2 of these Lich fights before resting. Imoen also has double True Sight memorized, and that's because, Liches being immune to levels 1 to 5 of spells means that they generally are immune to the level 5 True Seeing, and we have to use its arcane counterpart that is level 6 True Sight in order to be able to dispel their illusions and invisibility. And that's not entirely consistent between all of the liches in the game. Like, some of them are immune to True Seeing, some of them are not, and I think sometimes even demi-liches can be affected by True Seeing, which is a complete anomaly, but that's basically the assumption I'm going to be operating under. We're going to try to always use the level 6 True Sight, because liches are supposed to be immune to True Seeing, the divine spell. And even though in some situations it would succeed, I'm going to try to always use True Sight in such situations. And also the line of liches that we're going to encounter now, they are all immune to True Seeing properly. But, just mentioning that. And also, final note about spells. This particular spell immunity to abjuration that we have learned was actually not necessary, although of course we did get 5,000 experience for learning that, but these particular spell immunities I think are a remnant from older versions of SCS where it was necessary to learn them in such form in order to be able to put them into spell triggers and contingencies and whatnot. But as it is now, as long as we have a normal spell immunity memorized, we are going to get the full selection of all the different schools of magic to choose from whenever we want to set up a spell trigger or a contingency of our own. So that's going to be fine. And also, I've changed some gear on Jaheira and Anomen to make them immune to fire for these upcoming couple of fights. I've also prepared some spells to sell on Senashira. And also, one last thing before we go. I did just want to mention one last thing about the epic limited wish quest from the previous episode. I forgot to mention that as a reward for retrieving the gong, normally we would have gotten the boomerang dagger from Captain Dennis, but since we of course pickpocketed that at the beginning of our playthrough, that was not the case. But still we got some personalized experience, and that's why we also waited for Imoen, so that she could partake in that experience as well. But anyway, now we are prepared to just rest, get our spells, and here we're going to first set up our sequencers, and we are actually going to get rid of Senashira's triple remove magic sequencer and set up a spell sequencer consisting of different spells, and that's not going to be for the upcoming fights but one later. And in this one we're going to put mirror images, one stone skin and one fire shield blue. And also we're going to, of course, set up our spell trigger with triple pierce magic. We'll see if that's going to be useful in our upcoming fights with the liches or not. Oh yeah, and as you can see, we have the full selection of spell immunities. And also, one thing I wanted to bring up is that it might seem like a good idea, and under normal circumstances it would be, to perhaps in one spell trigger put some pierce magics and then breach as the last spell. Having the plan in mind to, get rid of, in the act of unleashing all of these spells at once, first, they would get rid of the last remaining spell protections that a Lich, for example, can have, and then also, at the same time, breach his physical protections so that we could get to him with our physical damage. But unfortunately, spell triggers and chain contingencies like that don't work, and that's because the breach projectile moves ever so slightly faster than the anti-magic spells. So even if you would put them like that, to have like the pierce magics first and breach last, it will actually always hit first. Even if you unleash a spell trigger like that in melee range, a breach is always going to hit, a little bit quicker, get wasted on their spell protections, and then the pierce magics would affect the target, and you would really waste that breach. So although it is a really good idea in theory, unfortunately in practice those types of chain contingencies and spell triggers don't work like that. So we are going to have triple pierce magic on Senashira. Then also, not for the upcoming fight, but for the future, we are going to set up a triple secret word spell sequencer on Imoen. And then on Edwin, since now he has some spell sequencers, I guess, available to him as well, finally, we are going to have a triple remove magic on him now. And now we are ready to go. So we'll see how all of these fights are going to go. The remove magics, and of course the secret words are not going to be really useful. When it comes to these upcoming Lich fights, we are going to focus on our spell trigger coming from Senashira and perhaps a chain contingency from Edwin. We'll see. But anyway, first we're going to visit the Adventurer's Mart once again, because I'm really tired of forgetting to buy that Helm of Brilliance. And we are going to get our Charisma Cloak here. And finally get it. So we're going to access his premium goods. First we're going to sell these scrolls. And now, boom, we finally have it. And also I'm going to sell some green scrolls of protection from the elements that we're not going to need quite as many of, like cold and electricity. And we are going to actually access his normal selection now. And we're going to buy some of his other green scrolls, granting us protection from acid and from poison. And I think we might also get one from fire directly to Imoen for the upcoming fights. Alright, and now we are finally done. I think Anomen is going to receive that helmet. He's kind of our keeper of helmets in the party. And now when it comes to the upcoming fights, we could of course normally do the fights first, kill who we need to kill, obtain what items we need to obtain, and then go back to Kangax and proceed the quest. But in the playthrough, just to have kind of to present the quest line as you're kind of supposed to, I guess, go through it, we're first going to go to the docks and receive the quest and the speech from Kangax. I actually don't remember if I disarmed this trap or not. But yeah, we're going to go through this quest like we're kind of supposed to go. There's going to be some minotaurs that are going to immediately die to us. And this kind of room interior we're going to see a couple of times, and we're going to receive the same goodies every time, so we're going to get some potions of regeneration. But anyway, This looks familiar. This type of tomb or crypt. And here we can interact with a golden skull, and its eyes are going to spark with light, and it's going to talk to us. At last, I return to awareness. Who is it that has awakened me? And we can respond with a question. Who are you? What are you? I am Kangax, and I have been cursed. I am dead, yet not dead. Cursed to eternal entrapment in this tomb by cruel enemies. Cursed to a fate worse than death. But the curse can be reversed. With your assistance, I may live again. I have suffered for so long. Will you help me? So of course we will. The fiends that did this to me keep me from returning by tearing apart my mortal form and keeping the pieces separated. You must find my body that I might again take mortal form. So this sounds completely normal and not suspicious at all, right? Just allowing a creature to return to its mortal form? Yeah, sure, dude. What do we need to do? And yeah, as for the parts, they are very close. I have no doubt they lie within the city in tombs such as this. My enemies are predictable, if nothing else. Seek my arms, legs, and torso. Of course, we will be well rewarded, and we have seen tombs like this before, and now we are going to be able to investigate them a little bit more and tamper with each sarcophagus. So the first one we're going to go to is the one beneath the temple district, in that sewer part in which the cult of the Eyeless made their base. There's also a tomb such as this one, and therein is our first opponent.
Without hesitation.
And the good thing about that map is that it's not going to be limited to that kind of tomb, but the map of course consists of more space, so we are going to be able to leave some of our members that we're not really going to engage with in this fight kind of at a distance, because we are primarily going to do these fights with our mages, and yeah, we're not going to have to like huddle in a corner with our other party members. But yeah, we're going to have to prepare for these fights. And I have a tendency to always forget about remove fear when it comes to dealing with liches, but of course in SCS they have that constant fear effect running. We're also going to need chaotic commands. And actually first we can get some stone skins on all of our mages.
Have you nothing else to do but bother me?
Edwin is going to give us some protection from fire and protection from magical energy. Also, Imoen has one copy of protection from magic energy. So just excuse me for a moment while I focus on doing these buffs properly. I don't want to fumble here.
What should I fetch now?
Sinashir is going to get that. Edwin is going to get chaotic commands. And now Edwin is going to get protection from magic energy. And Imoen is going to get this scroll of protection from fire, and together with the ring, and actually we can give her the better ring, she's going to be immune to fire as well. So we're all protected from magical damage and fire damage, which are the two most common ones that liches can unleash upon us.
Yes.
We also have chaotic commands, we have remove fear, and now we're going to have a round of spell shields.
What is it now?
And I'm going to buff up a little bit more for the next fight, because I remember the other Lich always giving me a little bit more trouble. But still, for this one, I am going to buff up with Globe of Invulnerability on Sinashira, and then use another Globe from a scroll on the other fight. But on Edwin I'm going to leave his Globe, that he now has memorized, for the other fight. But you know, even though I'm mentioning the other Lich giving me more trouble, they are both level 30, and they have both access to high level abilities and such, so they are by no means, you know, pushovers. But anyway, now I think before we do Globe, we need a round of mirror images. We're going to get the Globe on Sinashira, and we're going to precast that True Sight on Imoen. And now we're going to get a round of spell immunities to Abjuration.
I'm busy.
Also, Edwin is going to get the Boots of Speed here. And yeah, we're going to be prepared
What is it?
for our Lich fight here. We are going to keep the other party members, you know, at the ready here. if something goes wrong, and we're going to spread out our mages a little bit.
Yes?
Alright.
Direct me as
Alright, and now we can investigate this sarcophagus, remove the heavy lid, and here comes a Lich. A Shade Lich, saying, "Long have I guarded, long have I suffered. Who are you, manling, to seek the mortal shell of Kangax? When evil was torn asunder, 3 pieces were locked away. For a millennium I have guarded this place, dispensing death to those that follow darkness. You are no different, manling. Your death was ordained when Kangax fell." So this, makes us even more suspicious, because it seems like some kind of ancient evil was defeated a long time ago, and the mortal shell of this darkness was split into many pieces, and these guys are just guardians of these pieces, so that this evil cannot be awakened again. So could it be that Kangax was not entirely honest with us? Well, we'll see about that, but now let's take a look at what this Lich has to offer. So he does have Spell Shield that we're going to have to remove separately. Also has Spell Trap, Energy Blades as well. Of course, he's protected against all of the different elements and whatnot, and also has immunity to Abjuration. So first we're going to
Yes.
do a quick Pierce Magic, because it seems like, yeah, he doesn't have improved invisibility actually.
time to write you up. What is it?
So let's get rid of that Spell Shield first, and then, in order to remove both his Spell Trap and immunity to Abjuration, maybe we can even do this Spell Strike already on him, but I think he might be casting Time Stop. We'll see if these spells hit. Yeah, let's see what he has to offer. Okay, Ruby Ray of Reversal on Edwin is going to be consumed by his Spell Shield. What else you got there, buddy? Improved Alacrity. So Spell Thrust on Edwin is going to work afterwards, because he doesn't have Globe of Invulnerability, and he is going to be silenced as well. But he casted what we needed him to cast. Also, magic missiles are not going to work on him, because he has protection from magic energy. Now this Spell Strike should hit, and now he is going to be open for some breach. And his contingency with another protection from magical weapons triggers, so that is perfect. Everything is going to be dispelled like that. Edwin is just taking this damage like a champ there. Okay, and now we have him available. He still spams some damaging spells of flame arrows as well, but we are protected against fire on Edwin too. Just acid damage from this Melf's acid arrow is going to work against Edwin, but he is tanking well. He is taking some punishment well. And now we can finally get to that Lich. He has another protection from magical weapons, so now we have to do a breach on Senashira to get rid of that. Also, what did this Lich do here? He was casting something. But anyway, breach landed on him, and we can should be able to, yeah, finish him off. So that's the first one, and now we can retrieve from that sarcophagus parts of Kangax there. And so now we have his arms and legs. And apparently an unmistakable sense of evil pollutes the very air around the bones. So that can't be good. But anyway, now this first fight is done, and we're going to see what the other Lich has to offer.
Without doubt.
Edwin is still silenced, and I'm not going to,
Quickly and
I think,
precisely.
go out of my way to... okay, he is not silenced anymore. I was just about to say that I wouldn't really wait it out, and we would just go with Imoen and Senashira, but he is fine now. And here we have this building with actually 2 notable fights in it, but this one will hold the Lich. Let me just check if I already disarmed the traps here or not. These Mel's acid arrows of course last for a long time because the Liches have such a high level,
What is it now?
but it's cool. Did we...
If you say so.
Alright.
What is this will not take long.
Yeah, our globe now vanished on Senashira. Some of our protections we are going to renew. That's why we have 2 sets of spell immunities and spell shields, just so nothing goes wrong here in these fights. And in this one, our operating space is going to be limited, although this one actually, contrary to Kangax's tomb, this one doesn't give us a quick save when we enter, so we can actually leave some of our guys in this room and just be in this crypt with only our mages. When it comes to Kangax's room, this is going to be more difficult because Kangax's tomb actually has like a big area transition and you know, giving us an autosave, and we are going to have to either, you know, be here with all of our party or leave with our whole party. So this is going to be a different situation. But here we are going to renew our spell shields.
Go bother someone else.
Speak.
So we have to retrieve a scroll of globe. We have 5 of them. We're going to now get a round of mirror images.
I'm busy, okay? I'm busy. Have you
I stop
nothing else to do
misclicking
but
all the time.
bother me?
Alright, now we're going to precast our True Sight on Imoen. We're going to get that globe on Seneshira, and then get a round of spell immunities to Abjuration, and we should be fine.
Yep.
And also on Edwin, now I remember I need to have globe on him as well. So cast that, my bro.
Direct me as you will.
What you want? All right, all
Yes,
right.
it will be done.
Yes,
What is it?
I see.
Alright, then let's summon this guy. Now we have an elemental lich. You are foolish to follow the whims of Kangax. He will not be grateful for your service. And we can ask more about that, but he's not going to reveal anything else. You could say that this lich ain't no snitch. Saying, regardless, your quest ends here. I have not sacrificed all to have idiot adventurers awaken our doom. Die, fools. Alright, so let us see what you got here. Alright, so this one is going to be invisible. He has Spell Trap and Spell Shield as well, and immunity to Abjuration. Seems like the very similar set of pre-buffs, with the exception of having improved invisibility. So we are going to have to wait for a tick of True Sight on Imoen,
Speak.
and then we're going to go in with our own stuff. Come on, reveal yourself. Alright, illusions have been dispelled. So now we are going to just get rid of his Spell Shield first, and then maybe we can use a chain contingency on Edwin. We'll see. Let's prepare. Okay, he casts Improved Alacrity without Time Stop. We'll see how that is going to fare for him. And yeah, as a kind of demonstration, we can use a chain contingency here. And as you can see, when it comes to chain contingency, aside from our targeting ourselves, we can target someone who last hit us, or just the nearest enemy. That's what we're going to select here. And on the condition of seeing the enemy. And now, just to clear him out of all of his protections, we can give him Ruby Ray to dispel his Spell Trap, and then Kelbin's Warding Whip, I guess, to... or even we can use all of those. And then last, having Kelbin's Warding Whip active on him for, 3 rounds to just dispel anything else that he might put up. And yeah, this is not going to trigger immediately. There's usually a little delay before this is going to work, but, here this should be pretty cool, with an instant, like, triple dispel.
Without doubt.
Alright, we're going to get out of that Sphere of Chaos. We don't want to be affected by that. And yeah, our spells did work from Edwin's Chain Contingency. Now all we need is just one breach from someone. Let's see who has one ready. Imoen has used her breach, so we need to use Edwin here.
Speak.
Right, Kelbin's Warding Whip dispelled Edwin's Spell Shield, but... Did you... Yeah, the Chain Contingency is a little screwy. Like, it works immediately, but then you're kind of not able to cast spells successfully, and it seemed like Edwin was casting his breach, and it was used, but it wasn't actually successful on the guy, so actually, not to waste more time, let us retrieve a scroll of breach, and Senashira is just going to take it upon herself to do this right. Right, boom, that's perfect. His contingency with protection from magical weapons just triggered before breach hit him, so now he should be completely dispelled. Alright, he has a spell trigger though, with a spell deflection, spell shield, and another protection from magical weapons. So now another, like, multiple dispel is going to be needed on him. So let us use a ruby ray to get rid of that spell shield. Let's get a... Okay, Edwin is like completely out of his dispels, it seems. Yeah. So we are going to have to use one on Senashira. Yeah, it seems like it wasn't overkill, although Kelvin's Warding Whip was still active on him, although it might be just animation. Yeah, now this Ruby Ray cancelled out his spell shield, and we should have a Ruby Ray coming from Imoen, and Edwin is going to be able to get this breach going then. Right, so he gets stone skins, but everything is going to be wiped off, and now we have access to him. And that's the end. Another 22,000 experience for us, and once this Sphere of Chaos dissipates, we are going to go to the sarcophagus and retrieve the torso of Kangax. These golden body parts. Of course, I don't want to get into this Sphere of Chaos because we are not protected against alteration, and this has a chance of doing some nasty things to us. It can petrify, it can polymorph us to a squirrel. And now that we have done the fight, I don't want to like just complicate things for ourselves. So yeah, those were the two liches leading up to
Yes, without hesitation.
a more involved fight, and that we're going to have, I think, in the next episode, looking at the time here.
This will not take long.
But yeah, now we have the golden torso. Again, a palpable sense of evil pollutes the very air around the bones. We can stash that. And we are going to rest once, because in between episodes, again, I'm going to select our spells. And we are going to have some specific selections for the next fight, because Senashira is going to have her hands full of different kinds of work that she's going to have to do. So we're going to have to go to the docks, and we are going to rest at the Sea's Bounty. Alright, here's that ambush though. Seemingly we are ambushed by some travelers. Good tidings, friend. What brings you down this way? So we can say that we are adventurers. Wait, you seem familiar. Would you perchance be the fabled Senashira? Truly, good ma'am. Your deeds are well known all throughout the Sword Coast. And no matter what we say, this is going to turn out the same. Oh yes, Senashira, we have heard of you. In fact, we have been sent to deal with you. So those are not regular brigands. Those are like some kind of shapeshifters. They might be Rakshasa, and I think when it comes to their like spell immunities and stuff, it would point to that. Those are not just simple doppelgangers. Yeah, you must be captured, Senashira. Someone desires your presence very badly. It is time. And this is again not entirely clear who really sent them after us.
Yes, certainly.
But they are going to shape change into our clones. Yeah, the seemingly friendly merchants suddenly change shapes so they look like you. And I think we need to just hit them once to make them all hostile. Oh, wow, okay, nice crit. Okay, now they are going to be hostile. And I guess let's have some fun with some AoE spells here.
Time to move?
Let's unleash like a double Abidalzim's horrid wilting upon them, and see what they have to offer. They are going to have some protections. Let's activate our Detect Illusion, because these mirror images unfortunately are going to soak up some of our AoE capabilities here. Okay, let's allow them to get all of their stuff. Okay, their illusions were dispelled, so we can get to work now. Alright, they do cast some skull traps. We still have our protection from magical energy on our casters, but it's still going to, it seems, interrupt us.
Yes, Yes?
Although the Senashira that was interrupted, those are the clone of Senashira it seems, and now there's a cloud kill going on.
What is it?
Edwin seems to be still casting. Yeah, Edwin managed to unleash his spell, but let's actually reposition out of this, out of all of these clouds. Yeah, Edwin's Horrid Wilting did manage to get some damage going there. But anyway, we don't want to deal with all of these skull traps and whatnot. Let's just get to these guys with our superior physical damage.
You're what?
Yes? What you want?
I think they are going to be... yeah, they can shrug off our magic missiles. And I think they were pre-buffed with shield, but anyway, just one of them remaining, and that's it. So their selection of spells and pre-buffs could indicate Rakshasas or some other type of shapeshifter. It's not really clear what they are exactly supposed to be and who they were sent by, but yeah, kind of a unique ambush here, kind of disturbing. We get some scrolls though, and a very nice true sight. I like that.
Yes?
Anyway, now we are free to go to the docks, and finally we have that ambush done. We're going to go to the Sea's Bounty, and like I said, in between episodes I'm going to pick our spells for the particular strategy we have in mind. And in this episode we can still dual class, level up Kiranai, so that she gets more thieving skills and another high level ability. And this time I think I'm going to actually go for Avoid Death, because this might be very, very useful to what we're going to be going up against, especially the immunity to like instant death. So even though some of these other high level abilities are objectively better, I guess, and more versatile, this one is going to be probably very useful to what we're coming up against. So yeah. So now we're ready, and I thank you for watching. I'm going to prepare for our upcoming fight, and see you in the next episode then. So see you there.